It's one of the most audacious films I've ever seen because it is a deeply detailed portrait. He built dinosaurs, aliens, and war epics. But when he talks about movies that shaped him, Spielberg sounds like a kid again. I saw it one time, and it just pulverized me. I went out and bought this Maurice Jarre soundtrack. For Spielberg, cinema wasn't a career. It was a calling. And like all great storytellers, his story starts with someone else's. The frames that raised him, the voices that taught him how to listen, and more than anything, the movies that made him believe. From ghost stories to operas of war, from small-town dreams to cosmic odysseys, Spielberg's top picks say more about him than any interview. You can fake a resume, but can you fake influence? That's a very good question. I like that. You've answered the question. These aren't trend picks. These are blueprints, films that echo through his own work. Sometimes quietly, sometimes unmistakably. And once you see what's on his list, his entire career makes more sense. Of some of the most spectacular scenic action I've ever seen in my life, in any movie I've ever seen. Some directors talk about legacy. Spielberg lives inside it. Here comes Steven Spielberg naming his 6 favorite movies. And if you stay until the end, you'll see the one film Spielberg calls perfect. The one he said made him pick up a camera in the first place. Number An Epic Journey Across the Desert Sands 6, Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. Some films don't just influence directors, they haunt them. For Spielberg, Lawrence of Arabia wasn't inspiration, it was obsession. He first saw it at 16, and he didn't leave the theater the same. It was the first time I understood what a movie could be. From the endless desert shots to the razor-sharp dissolves, David Lean created a canvas Spielberg would return to for the rest of his life. Serve. I serve. It is the servant who takes money. He's admitted it changed his brain. How he framed scenes, paced stories, thought about silence. And when he directed Saving Private Ryan Munich and Warhorse, you can feel Lean in every wide shot. The opening title in total silence straight from Lawrence. The deep focus cinematography in massive scale. Lean again. But it wasn't just the visuals. What moved Spielberg was the paradox. A hero who wasn't heroic. A war epic about inner collapse. Lean didn't show you what a man did. He showed you who he was becoming. Spielberg called it his desert island movie. And when Colia Pictures restored the film in the late 80s, Spielberg personally helped oversee it. That's how deep it runs. And every time he returns to it, Spielberg says the same thing. It still teaches him something new. Number 5, 2001, a cosmic masterpiece that left him speechless. Space Odyssey, 1968. Spielberg never pretended to understand 2001, A Space Odyssey. That's what made him worship it. Kubrick didn't explain. He provoked. He didn't guide. He dared. It blew my mind. And it still does every time. In Spielberg's world of heart and story, 2001 was a cold, distant star. Beautiful, precise, unknowable. And he couldn't stop staring at it. The long silences, the ballet of machines, the idea that space isn't exciting. It's terrifyingly empty. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. I don't know what you're talking about, Hal. Spielberg admitted he watched it over and over just to feel small. Not in awe of the universe, but in awe of what cinema could do. Stanley taught us that film doesn't need to explain itself. It just needs to be true to itself. And while their styles clashed, Kubrick cold, Spielberg warm, they were secret collaborators. Kubrick asked Spielberg for advice on AI before he died, then handed it to him. And Spielberg said yes because you don't say no to your oracle. In Close Encounters, you feel 2001 in the awe of the alien, in Minority Report, in the sleek tech, in AI, in the mood itself. But Spielberg never tried to copy Kubrick. He just let him orbit. Because some directors you learn from, others you chase. Number 4, A Guy Named Joe. A forgotten war film that shaped his childhood, 1943. Before aliens, dinosaurs, or soldiers on Omaha Beach, there was a guy named Joe. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't epic. But for Spielberg, it was the first time a film made him feel everything. It hit me like a thunderbolt. I saw it on TV when I was a kid, and I cried my eyes out. The story, a reckless pilot dies in war, then returns as a spirit to guide a younger man. It was romantic. It was strange. It was exactly the kind of story Spielberg would spend his whole career chasing. Just sit back and let the ship fly herself. Remember, this airplane knows more about flying than you'll ever know. I said, relax. As a child, Spielberg didn't have the words for what moved him, but a guy named Joe gave him the feeling. Grief and hope, sacrifice and redemption, all wrapped in supernatural wonder. He never forgot it. In fact, decades later, he remade it. Always. 1989 wasn't just a passion project. It was a love letter, a thank you note decades in the making. I didn't want to outdo it. I just wanted to relive it. The critics weren't kind, but Spielberg didn't care. That film wasn't for them. It was for the kid who stayed up late, eyes glued to the TV, watching Spencer Tracy say goodbye. Because some movies don't teach you how to direct, they teach you why. And Spielberg never stopped learning from it. Number 3, Fantasia, 1940. An animated classic that expanded his imagination before Spielberg understood plot, character, or dialogue. He understood sound. And Fantasia didn't just entertain him, it possessed him. It was like the screen opened and swallowed me. Fantasia wasn't a movie. It was a hallucination. Disney's dream of blending classical music with hand-drawn animation. Pure emotion, no rules. And for a young Spielberg, it was the first time film felt like magic. He said it changed how he heard movies, that rhythm could shape story, that visuals could dance without words. When you look at Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you don't just see aliens. You hear Fantasia, the 5-note communication, the rising, trembling orchestration. It's all Disney by way of Spielberg. Even E.T.'s Spike Flight carries that same sweep, weightless, musical, transcendent. Fantasia taught me that story isn't always what characters say. It's what the music feels. Decades later, Spielberg still talks about it with awe. He doesn't break it down. He just remembers it washing over him. And if you ask him how to make a movie for children and adults at the same time, he won't mention a script. He'll mention Fantasia. Because sometimes the wildest ideas, the ones nobody gets at first, are the ones that stick forever. Number 2, The Godfather, 1972. A crime saga he considers near-perfect. Berg quit. When I saw The Godfather, I thought I'll never be that good. They're my enemies. He said that no one has ever used shadows and silence better than Coppola in that film. Don't expect Schindler's List owes its tone to The Godfather, the quiet dread, the moral corrosion, the portrait of power unraveling. Even Munich carries echoes of that cold, meticulous world. It made me slow down, stop showing off, just tell the truth frame by frame. Because sometimes the greatest compliment a director can give is envy. Number 1, It's a Wonderful Life. 1946. Not a blockbuster, not a technical marvel, just a man, a town, a moment. And for Spielberg, it was everything. It's the movie that made me believe in stories. Not in Hollywood, not in cinema, stories. When he first watched It's a Wonderful Life, he wasn't analyzing it. He was holding his breath. George Bailey's breakdown wasn't a plot point. It was personal. Spielberg later admitted he cried harder than he ever had in front of a screen. Music, Clarence. Clarence, help me, Clarence. What Capra did was deceptively simple. No aliens, no gangsters, just life falling apart, and somehow coming back, a heartfelt holiday tale that never left them together. That quiet courage, the ability to find scale in the ordinary, became Spielberg's obsession. You see it in E.T., where a suburban kid finds the galaxy in his backyard. In Catch Me If You Can, where a father's absence echoes louder than any police siren. Even in The Fabelmans, which might as well be Spielberg whispering, "This is my George Bailey." Capra showed us that hope isn't naive, it's brave. Critics have often pointed to Spielberg's sentimentality. But that sentiment was learned, and it came from Bedford Falls because Capra didn't just craft a movie. He left behind a philosophy, a belief that small lives matter. That quiet sacrifices echo. That storytelling isn't just about escape. It's about return. And for Spielberg, that's all he's ever been trying to do. And there it is, the real behind the lens. 6 films that didn't just shape Steven Spielberg's career, they shaped his soul. Not the obvious picks, not the easy ones, but the ones that lingered in theme, in tone, and how they made him feel. Because for all his box office records, Spielberg never chased spectacle. He chased feeling, wonder, dread, redemption, the quiet kind of power you don't even notice until the credits roll. Now you've seen what inspired him. The question is, what inspires you? Let us know in the comments which film on this list meant the most to you. And if you want more deep dives into the minds of directors, make sure you like and subscribe because we're just getting started.